Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing King of the Hill chess, where a player can win by placing the king in the center 4 squares, or by checkmating. My goal is to win 3 games, and I will only play against higher rated opponents. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, game number 1 we get the black pieces and the opponent is rated 1667. I think it's pretty evident that the strategy here is just to sort of throw your king towards the middle, although you can definitely make the argument that you should play a little bit more conservative and maybe castle, let your opponent expose their own king and then go for checkmate. But I have no interest in playing that way today. I'm going straight for the middle of the board and trying to beat my opponent by placing my king in the middle. Let's go ahead and play king to e6. f5 is not possible because I take on e5 and immediately win the game. Pawn to c4. Let's play g5. Again, the opponent can't take because I take on e5. I have dropped d5 though, which is a little bit egregious, but we get knight to c3 instead, luckily, because actually, the more I think about it, the more I think taking on d5 would have been crushing. We'll go ahead and take on f4. Now taking on d5 doesn't matter because I take on e5 and would win the game, but the opponent takes on f4. Let's play d4, just to cause the opponent some headaches. Boots the knight and makes it so that d5 is no longer a weakness that we have to worry about. Unfortunately, it does sort of check mark off any ideas of king to d5. The opponent also had queen to g4 there, but they didn't seem to notice that. We get knight to b5 instead. Let's play check. Maybe we can get the opponent playing some defense, which would be quite nice. They basically have to move their king out at this point. Right, they do play king to f2. Let's play, is check warranted here? I think so. I think check is a move that makes sense. We get pawn to g3. I can't sack because the pawn simply replaces and defends e5, but I can play queen to g5. I do have to cover g4 because queen to g4 check is quite terrible, but we get knight takes, which gives check, which removes the king, which drops the queen. Wow, that is tragic. All right, king to e7. Bishop takes, and this game is going downhill absolutely insanely quickly. Funny enough, I still have some hope just because of how crazy this variant is. It is very possible, especially if you get overconfident, it is very possible to blunder letting your opponent's king move into the middle of the board. But we get bishop to h4, which tells me that the opponent may not be in the business of blundering. We'll go ahead and pin the knight with the idea of knight to c6. Again, I just need to break down the center enough that the king can just sneak through, and then we can still win. Bishop to g4, again, very interesting. Nice, we get pawn to a3 looking for b4. Doesn't work because now we can take the knight. I get bishop to e2. I believe I can just take and then win the knight. Nice, check, and then king to e6. And how on earth do you stop me from moving to e5? Boom, king to e6. Is it even, I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest. I think you just have to take and then I take back. And then there should be no way to defend e5 anymore. Which is, I know this is absolutely insane, but this is what I do like about this variant. As long as you're capable of creating sufficient threats for long enough, eventually most opponents, it won't always happen, sometimes we get smacked around, it's happened to me before, but most opponents eventually will succumb to the pressure of the king sort of just standing menacingly near the center. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this game is about as good as done. There's no way to defend e5 that I can see, so we'll just wait and see what the opponent comes up with. Right, we do get bishop takes f6. Unfortunately, we can just take that with the knight, and anew we ask the same question. How do you defend e5? It seems a queen sack is the only way to even temporarily do that. We take with the knight, and again, e5 is loosey-goosey and ready for our king to capture. 12 seconds left for the opponent, so we'll get our answer either right away in 10 seconds, or the opponent just intends on flagging. Okay, we do get the queen sack. We'll take with check. King moves towards the center, but it's not in time. We take on e5 and win game number 1. With that, we have 1 victory under our belt. Let's go to move on to game number 2. All right, game number 2, we get a different opponent who is about the same rating as us. We'll start with e4. I have started learning some more e4 openings, so I guess my confidence is at an all-time high with playing e4 in these variants. Not that any of that theory actually ever comes into play, but ooh, pawn takes. They tempt me. They tempt me to just play king to e2 right now, and I am weak. We will play king to e2. I'm just looking to throw my king into the center of the board again. Let's maybe not hang a queen this time. That was unfortunate when that did happen, but because that's the thing, right? You're balancing wanting to move your king towards the center of the board with the fact that anything that hits your king is a forcing move. So there's a lot of opportunities for pins, skewers, forks. A lot of tactical ideas start to sort of just appear out of thin air that don't normally happen in games because your king is normally tucked away in a corner, castled like he's supposed to be. We get knight to f6. I'm gonna go ahead and just pin that knight right away. I don't know where you think you're going, but that journey ends now. All right, we get queen to e7. I'm gonna go ahead and take on d4. Now that it's my pieces in the middle of the board, I can sort of just move my pieces out of the way when it comes time to move my king into the middle. We get queen takes e4. Wait a minute, that doesn't work. I can just take. Knight takes, king to e3. How on earth do you stop me from moving into the middle of the board? I think that's impossible. It's kind of like a fork. I mean, it's disguised as the king just marching towards the middle, but I'm threatening e4 and I'm threatening d4. So I'm basically forking the middle of the board with my king. I can't think of a more absolute dominant display of playing chess than forking the center of the board with your king. All right, with that, we win game number 2. We now have 2 victories under our belt. Let's go to move on to game number 3. All right, game number 3. Whoa, toughest opponent yet. Rated 1860, more than 200 points higher rated than we are. We get pawn to c5. Why are we playing a Sicilian? Let's play d4. That pawn is all yours, my friend. King to e2. Boom, we go for the same idea, except now they have central pawns. So it's going to be a little bit harder to tear apart this position. Ooh, d5? Wait a second. Hold on a minute. c3. I want to take on d4 if they allow it. Maybe with a queen trade. Oh, wait, I just hung my queen. No. Oh my goodness. Time to be blindly optimistic about our winning chances. That is so insane. They don't even take back. I don't even know how I hung my queen. I've just got my head up my rump today, I guess. I'll play knight to c3. Knight to c6, yeah, d5, try to boot the knight. This opponent is way too strong. They're gonna play check, I'm gonna play here, and they're gonna play bishop to c5. Guaranteed. I mean, why would I play here if I know they're gonna play bishop to c5? But wow, bishop to g4, they don't even play that. If I try to pretend like I'm moving towards the center, there's just check. Yeah, this game is as good as gone. And as you could tell by the first game, I am one to be blindly optimistic, but this is not even worth playing. So I'm gonna resign this game. Let's go to move on to game number 4. They do offer a rematch, perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping to get. All right, we get pawn to d4, let's play d5. This game is probably going to have a different flavor, unless they play for e4 or c4, I guess. This game might have a different flavor in the sense that we might play more defense, yeah. Okay, we're gonna play symmetrical, at least for a little bit. They're threatening knight to b5. So I guess a6, rook shuffles over. This is looking a lot like normal chess. I'm gonna pin, at least preemptively, if possible. We get knight to e5. Let's go e6, and I don't think I care about losing the bishop. Yeah, this is clearly a stronger player because they took that without a second thought. We get pawn to e4. I think I can just play knight back. e5 is a little bit annoying, but then there's knight to e4, which does create the weakness on d4 since it's a backwards pawn, but they don't even take. Yeah, this is definitely a stronger player. Can I see their rating from here? No, I can only see their variant rating. Okay, fair enough. We get bishop to d3. Let's go ahead and take, I guess. We'll develop the bishop with tempo. And do we castle is the question, because you'd think the answer would be no. But I don't know. We'll play rook to c8. Might as well threaten a backwards pawn, or at least we'll try to make it a backwards pawn. Wow, they're playing this like normal chess at this point. I mean, I guess we can play a normal chess game. Let's go for it. All right, we'll castle. We'll castle too. If queen to h5, we have g6, so there's no mating ideas quite yet. Get bishop back. Now what's stopping knight to a5, knight to c4? Threatens the bishop, outpost for the knight. Rook can develop into the outpost were there to be a trade. Bishop controls one of the defending squares that a piece would need to move to defend c3. g6, skedaddle skadoodle, move that queen out of the way. There's no sacrifice yet, but there very quickly could be with like h4, h5. Not to mention even just queen to h6 with bishop g5, bishop f6. But the opponent doesn't see that, so we'll play knight to c4. Ooh, bishop just moves out of the way. I could honestly just give up the rook. I mean, I have a strong enough position that I'd value having my dark squares defended over, wow, okay, this is definitely a stronger player. They don't even take the exchange because they know that me controlling the dark squares kills the attack. So they play h4 instead, looking to continue with that attacking idea. Yeah, and if I just sit around, h5 is going to consume my position. So let's play pawn to f5. We need to look for some sort of counterplay here, or else we're going to be sitting ducks in the face of this attack. Not to mention the center is basically completely closed. Let's go ahead and take with the rook. There is bishop to g5, which is acceptable. We'll play bishop back. And now there's queen takes e6. I did not see that idea. Okay, but they don't play that. They play rook to e1, doubling down on that central control. Let's go rook to c6 to hold on to the pawn, or at least have a trade of rooks were that to occur. We get pawn to h5. I mean, we might as well defend with the king. I mean, it's a far-fetched idea, but in some universe we simplify and the king comes towards the middle. Bishop takes. Oh, I see. We're just dropping g6. I see. Okay. So basically, I don't even want to take that. Wow, this opponent is very strong. Bishop takes. We'll move the king out of the way. Bishop to f5 impending, or they find a different way to do it. Fair enough. We'll play pawn forward, and basically the only way we win this is by finessing the king into the middle of the board. Basically, the only hope that we have here is that. Yeah, so let's just go for it. I mean, it's the only way that I see to actually have a fighting chance. So king to d6. Check. We'll move the king up. Oh, and mate. Wow, made it in the middle of the board. By all means, I'm going to offer a rematch. We've now lost 2 games to this opponent. We have 2 victories under our belt, but now 2 losses as well. How is this opponent so strong? Wait, can I look at their chess.com profile real quick? Let's play pawn to d5. Oh no, you've got to be kidding me. They're 2600 bullet, 2700 blitz. No wonder they're crushing us. Holy smokes. Well, that explains a lot. I'll pull up their profile after. 2600 bullet, 2700 blitz. Insane. All right, unfortunately the opponent did have to go, but I've only been ragdolled an extra 4 or 5 more times, so you didn't miss out on much. Let's go to move on to, actually I don't know what game this is. I guess just the next game. We have 2 victories under our belt, but we've been destroyed by this 2700 rated player, so let's move on to the next game. All right, we've got another game against an 1820 rated opponent with d4. I've learned my lesson from my absolute beatdown with the 2700 rated opponent to just play a little bit more concrete. Not all of these games have to be so explosive, so I'm going to play a little bit more solid. Oh, I think we're getting a London system, or a Jabava to be precise. We'll play bishop to g4. We get pawn to e3. Yep, that's exactly what we're getting. We'll play e6. Very closed, very symmetrical. Nothing crazy going on quite yet. We do get bishop takes. We'll go ahead and take back. I like that e5 is on the table for us. So let's go ahead and play e5 now. I just said that not all of these games have to be explosive, but here we go. All right, this is where the fun begins because they've now castled out of the way. We'll play knight to d7. We can castle ourselves as well. E4 is on the table for the opponent. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll follow suit and castle. If we do get e4, we can meet it with d4, c5, closing up the center again. Knight goes back. Let's bring a rook towards the middle. Knight to d4 is the assumed idea. Yeah, we do get knight to d4. Let's play knight to c5, looking to trade off for the bishop, which is doing a very good job of controlling the center, and the knight on d7 is doing nothing. So we'll go ahead and trade that off, or at least try to. Ooh, pawn to b4 allows the trade, but why? I don't really know. Let's play king to c7. Might as well bring him towards the center. If we do get a queen trade, it's going to be a very quick and very decisive fight to see who gets to the middle first. Right, king d2 shows that that's exactly the idea they're playing for as well. Let's play queen to d6 with the idea of targeting b4. a5 is on the table if we get a3. Nice, because remember, you can weaken the king's position. It's a very real threat to lose in that way. Oh, knight to b5 is the idea, forking the king and the queen. Nice find by the opponent. I guess we can go ahead and just shuffle the king out of the way. If we do get check, rook to e6 is honestly on the table. Reason being, if the knight takes, pawn takes, we get much better control over the middle. We get pawn to f4. Now I can definitely take on b4. Nice, we take with check. Seems pretty good. Rook up to c3. This is a defensive play. Rook to a8 with the idea of rook to a2. The knight does finally take. We'll go ahead and take back, which threatens the queen, so it's still a tempo in our favor. Queen has to move out of the way, and then rook to a2 is just crushing. Oh, queen defends the rook, so it's not crushing, but it's very good. Or maybe it is crushing. Is this almost mate? Hold on, let's calculate this correctly. Check. Rook goes back. Queen takes d3 is definitely checkmate. All right, nice. And with that, we win our 3rd game. We now have 3 victories in total. I'm going to say that basically we also had a training montage in the middle when we played that 26-2700, which allowed me to defeat now this last player, 200 points rating higher than we are at the moment, with relative ease, I would say. So thanks to the 26/2700 who kicked me around for about 7 games. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below what other variants I should play, and I will see you guys in the next one.